Okay. So, I made this video earlier today and I'm going to redo it again because there was a lot of going on uh, at the time of the opening of the video. So, let's get straight to it. This is the first wave. Things go in waves when it comes to changes in time. When you have, for example, you have a movement of let's say the minority of the United States. You have a movement where there was and they typically come within generational waves. Sometimes they can come within one generation, two different waves, but you typically have a wave of a movement within a generation in the country or the situation that's going on. And let's just give an example of like the African American community. They it took them quite some time, but they were enslaved um, for a long, long time. And once they start to have their first wave of change, it took at least three different waves of generational change for it to finally have a major impact in society to where now they can become leaders in the communities, presidents of the United States, and so on and so forth. So it took at least three huge waves, and that's just a quick example. And what I'm going with this video is the first wave of change for men is just starting. It's just starting. It's just the beginning. The first attempts, these are not the first attempts. The first attempts for any kind of change for men was met with complete decimation. Complete, just completely decimated. If you spoke up as a man against, let's say, for example, if you spoke up as a man against wrongdoing or gender biases, you were met with lawsuits, charges. You were probably imprisoned and you were guilty until proven innocent. And if you know and I know that men are already guilty um, before before any charges, and we have to prove our innocence. Where women prove their innocence with, and I'm not trying to be a men. It's not men against women here, but because I got a woman right here next to me, you see my bunny ears, but it's very it's very clear. Women have the innocence at the time of they present themselves. Men are guilty first and have to prove their innocence later. With this first, the police officers were charged, athletes were charged. People constantly, it's like anything you spoke up and spoke out about against an inequality towards men in any different area or arena was met with just complete decimation. Like their lives were totally ruined. Now we've gone to the point where it's so much damage to men that it's clearly obvious. And that's the same thing when I'm not comparing the wrongdoing to men to the racial inequality that happened to African Americans. I am not doing that. With all respect to our beautiful black brothers and sisters, I am not comparing the two. I'm just giving an example of change and the wave of change and how this happens throughout lifetime. Um, it happened with the Jewish community. It happened with the Chinese American community back in the early, I think it was the early 50s or 40s or whatever. There was even a gold rush movement when the Japanese community in San Francisco, California, they had their wave. Um, so, with that said, moving right along, this is the first wave. And the reason why the first wave happens in all of these different situations is there is overabundance of massive problems that we just can't turn our heads anymore and can't hide this stuff under the rug anymore. It is clearly, we can see it all, that there is a lot of damage being done to men. Same thing, we can clearly see it all, that there was a lot of damage being done to Jews, African Americans, Asian community, so on and so forth, women. And the movement happened with the first wave, second wave, third wave, and finally massive change in all of these problems. With the first attempts being at destroying our lives, now it's an overabundance. It's way too much. We can't hide it anymore. It's too much to be seen at every level and all levels, that the first wave is now happening. The first wave of change. But we will not make a major impact until we hit that third wave of change. When we hit that third wave of change, I want to make this very clear. When we hit that third wave of change, what will happen is we're going to have somewhat of a divide if we're not careful. And here's where I really want you to pay attention and listen. As men, we need to come together. And we not need to come together very clearly. I want to make it very clear. Not to come together to be against people or to be against a community or a system or women or other nationalities or any other religions or any other countries. It's not about that. It's about all of us in the world as men coming together to lead our countries and those that follow us, lead them in togetherness. Again, I want to make that very clear. That is what we need to focus on moving forward. It starts right now in this first wave of men working together, bringing all together, man, women, children, young, old, all different nationalities, together, in showing them leadership on how we as a humanity, how the world needs to stand together. And that's where it starts, as a leader, as a father, as a man. And that's what we need to represent to our families, society, and the people that are watching and that are around us, even that are looking at us from afar. We need to do that now in this first wave, continue the standing together and bringing people together, and stop the bashing, the hating of genders, men, women, gay, straight, black, whites. We need to stop all that. And we need to come together, even in the second wave, and continue the process and the good fight in the third wave. And why so important that this needs to be recognized now in this first wave is because if we do not show togetherness and we show this separation of being, we're tired of this, of the world against men, and we're going to push forward to fight for men's rights, this will bring a divide in the third wave from the generation younger than us. So when we are in that third wave, when we're older, in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and that third wave of generation where we have massive change, those young men that are just children right now, those young men that are going to grow up are going to look at the older men and say, those weak men, they never stood up for themselves. Those weak men crying for equality. Those weak men. That's where we will have that problem of a divide if we don't bring the togetherness right now in the present, and showing how men should be standing together. We need to be expressing that at the small micro level, the macro level, at the largest levels, in anywhere in society that you stand. Talking to your fellow brothers, your fellow sisters, about coming together, about standing with each other, and talking about how we do need each other, and not this continuous divide of, I hate women, I hate this, I hate those young kids, I hate these old men, I hate this. There's so much that I and myself and you can look at and what we hate. There's a lot to hate. There is. I don't blame you. I can name a million things that I hate right now. But that's not the focus. Is not going to help us in our future generations to come. There is a first wave of change happening right now for men. There is. I believe it in my heart of hearts that there is a change. And with that change comes great responsibility as men. And we need to look at this in a bigger picture. And if you want to change to have a positive impact in the future when we are old and ready to pass away, make sure you lead them to higher grounds together. When we climb this mountain of success, it is all of us together. Pull them, push them, show them, guide them, walk them, hold them, bring them to the higher ground. It is our duty as men to do so. From the smallest pieces of the corners of the earth of conversations, it is all of our responsibility as men. From homeless to wealthy, from all different religions, all different nationalities. It is all of our responsibility as men to begin this wave on a positive foot, because if we do not, it will continue to ricochet for generations to come, because we're going to be older, withering away, passing away, listening to the utters of young men talking shit about this weak generation that was just crying out for equality and the overabundance of inequality. When that's not what we're crying about. We're crying that we're having our rights taken away, our finances taken away, our livelihoods taken away. I stand here even as honest as I am. Worked so hard. I worked always my whole life. All my 40 years of my life, and I'm now past my 40. I'm past 40, but all my life working 3 jobs. Even if my own business, I still had side jobs. All my life, and now I have one. All of that hard work to build up for a family and build up for a future and have money, to have it all taken away from me and have absolutely nothing. I do consider myself lucky to have a girlfriend now, a friend. But we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to stop attaching our ego and our self-worth as men to money or to pussy or to things, cars, this and that. It's great to be a man of to have a lot of possessions and have a lot of finances. That's great. But you're only a representation of the character of the man that you are within you. There's many men. And I have personally dated millionaires that can't stand their millionaire husbands, their millionaire boyfriends, the disgustingness that they think about, they talk about. I'm telling you right now that there is just it's not your possessions. It's the type of mindset and the continued positive perpetual practice of your mental character that you do in the privacy of your own home that will represent you out there in this world and will be a reflection for the future generation to come. So I say this with all my heart. I believe and I can see this first wave of movement and change for men happening now. And save this video, save my words, and save this and share this with somebody that you think that would help. I'm not talking about this for any type of big following or anything like that. I just want you to gain knowledge that there is change coming for men. This is the first wave, and we must come together and lead all to the top. They can do you wrong, but we still need each other. You can be do wrong by one person, but I'm sure I'm sure someone has done you wrong in your life, but you've still looked to someone to reach out and give you a hand. So not all people are bad. So whoever has done you wrong in the past, maybe Mexican, Asian, Russian, black, white, Latino, are all of those type of people bad? Or that person that hurt you, are all of those bad? No, they're not. So not all women are bad. Not all men are bad. It is living in the influence of the outside, attaching our ego and detaching our subconscious thinking in control of the outside, not having full control of your inside, your internal. Bringing your subconscious to your conscious thinking and living within you and having full control. You're giving control to the outside. I love you. I hope this hits home for some of you. We need to come together as men, and we need to show others how to do it as well too. All men, women, children, different religions, everybody, young and old. Lead, and they will follow. It's our duty. I love you guys. Take care. I'll talk to you again soon.